one key area of knowledge that this elite have held all this time is the true nature of the sun. All through this period we're talking about, there have been two levels of knowledge in everything. If you read the religious texts, like the Bible and other religious texts, as an initiate of numerology, of the Illuminati code, etc., you read the text in a certain way and you see what it's really symbolically saying. If you are not initiated into that knowledge, and most people aren't obviously, you read the same text and you are encouraged to take the symbolic literally. So, the same piece of text can be a means of passing on knowledge through initiates and creating prison religions and prison histories for the masses. And in the ancient world, the sun was the same. So the masses of people focused on the sun because of its obvious effect on their daily lives, their crops, their lives, heat, warmth, light. But at that level of initiation, which had been passing on this ancient knowledge, they knew the sun was far more than that. They knew that the sun was and is an incredible generator of energy that is affecting life on Earth second by second.
Astrology is pretty important because it is sort of the culmination of the sun and moon worship and the mythology, and they come together. As you could see here by the chart, you see the sun in the middle, and then you have the 12 months that actually go around the sun, and they would give each month a picture to represent itself. This is called the zodiac calendar, and interesting thing, the zodiac killer from the 60s, I believe, that was an Illuminati sacrifice that happened over several different murders, and it would always happen on zodiac calendar day. So yeah, that's how you just know that certain issues like that are most certainly Illuminati planned, and that at the very least somebody who really studies astrology is involved in that.
Now this is a symbol that explains so much about religion and many of the symbols you see in the modern world. Because of the focus on the sun in its various levels of importance and understanding, this symbol was devised in the ancient world to symbolize the passage of the sun through the year. They did the circle with the zodiac, zodiac coming from a Greek word meaning animal circle appropriately. They broke the circle into four, the seasons, with the cross, and they put the sun on the cross. I've heard that somewhere before. So, this is what this is, the Celtic cross. It's the circle and the cross. It's the symbol I've just had on the screen. This is NATO. NATO is a wholly owned subsidiary of this brotherhood, this group of bloodlines. So again, this symbol keeps coming up in the modern world as well as the ancient one. Now, even in the design of cities, which this brotherhood has in the modern world controlled, you see exactly the same symbol. What you're looking at here is the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Paris, like Washington and London, is a mass of esoteric symbolism and sacred geometry built by design into the street plan. And so what you have is the Arc de Triomphe with the circle around it. There's the center of the sun on the cross, if you like. And going off from there are 12 roads breaking up into the 12 segments, just like that symbol I showed you a few minutes ago. And this again is sun symbolism from the ancient world carried by this group. And even in the road, on the road plan around the Arc de Triomphe, you see the sun there making the point. But if you don't realize where all this is coming from, it just seems like kind of nice design. Again, up there, Order of the Knights Templar and the York Rite of Freemasonry, that symbol there with the cross and the crown is the way the symbol of the circle and the cross has been got into Christian churches without people realizing what it means. It's the same symbol, the cross and the circle.
Let's keep going. So, anyway, yeah, if you watch the show Ancient Aliens, you'll see that a lot of ancient cultures had advanced technology and designed their temples according to astrological signs.
As above, so below. And this is a very old saying that they use. Again, this just goes back to everything that happens below, is that they actually have to line it up with what's happening above, so things won't just happen on a random day. It has to intersect with what's happening in the sun and the moon and the stars. Everything they do, also might I add, is based upon astrology, so there has to be, like, the sun and the moon and the stars. If they're going to do anything, like on 9/11, the sun and the moon and the stars, they all have to correlate or align in a certain way. They wait until that actually happens, so they do things. There's a really good documentary. It's okay, it's not the greatest, but it's called Do You Believe in Magic? And it's not the normal magic that you and me would believe in, or, you know, like we see on Disney Channel. It's not like that. It's actually spelled M-A-G-I-C-K. And it's it's different than the magic, you know, you see on Disney Channel or in a movie. And they make sure that the heavens or the heavenly bodies correlate with things that happen here on the ground.
There are clues throughout Egypt that point to knowledge of high technology. A fascinating thing occurred when a chunk of stone recently fell off a lintel at Abydos Temple, and controversial images resembling a helicopter and other advanced-looking vehicles were revealed under the stone. It would seem that the images were covered in the distant past when things were changing politically in Egypt. Nowadays, Egyptian tour guides are explicitly instructed not to point these out to tourists. The Egyptological explanation is that it is multiple hieroglyphs overlapping from distant kings' inscriptions. But, like many things in Egypt, the explanation is still debatable. Another controversial object that Egyptologists merely deem impossible is the artifact commonly known as the Baghdad battery that generates a mild electrical charge. Similar ancient artifacts that match these objects have been found in Egypt. We can't say for certain, but it would appear that the Egyptians documented the existence of these artifacts as well. Recreations of these objects have been made and have successfully created electric current. Also noteworthy are strange representations of objects that resemble light bulbs found in the crypts at Dendera. There was no natural light inside these underground crypts, but we see no soot from torches or oil lamps, the only lights we know the ancients used. Could the ancient Egyptians have had their own source of electrical power? If nothing else, the ancients had to cut, move, and lift massive stone blocks that would challenge our engineers today. What was their secret? Other evidence shows that there is energy occurring naturally everywhere on the planet that our science knows about but seems to ignore. Nikola Tesla sought to provide the world with free, wireless electricity for everybody on Earth. He discovered that electricity occurred naturally throughout the Earth's atmosphere and ground. The telluric currents in the ground that John Burke discussed, and the electricity present in the ionosphere in the atmosphere, which is ionized by the sun. He also created and developed ways to harness those energies.
Tesla, who teach Nikola Tesla to get the power of electricity? And he didn't invent it, it's already there, but he know how to use it. And not only that, he did not take an advantage, like Mr. Edison.
Tesla wanted to harness the natural energy that exists everywhere on Earth and make it free to the public. Edison endeavored to produce and distribute electricity by creating a regulated monopoly for profit.
Step up, you'll be shocked when I spit and start to static. I'll rip your style and add it to my long list of past. While you were busy digging ditches and burning bridges and pumping out and benches, sacking witches, so go back to your bitches. You're a geek, plagued by OCD. You never had sex, but you sure got screwed by me. I'm crushing Tesla. There's just no putting it gently. I don't alternate my flow. I diss you directly.
I see a universe of infinite energy with no potential for threat from this enemy, so you can call me Tesla. Nikola, impeccably dressed, giving lessons in electrical nemesis. It will be on the cast, so confess to your best and let the whole world know what the Serbian did for the wizard of Merlin. History is getting rewritten and I read your best invention was a work of steel clay.
The truth hurts, you're broke and washed up. Don't give a speech about your visions if they can't make a buck. I conduct business. Understood things you never could. No jokes that I even make New Jersey look good. I'm on the record, I invented. You got you there, I said it. I'll bet you $50,000 that you'll never forget it. Without me, here's a taste of what this battle would be. No lights, no camera, no sound. See?
You fool, you think that you can touch me with this? You couldn't handle my gifts with your greedy little mind. What's inside mine was ahead of its own time. You did not steal from me, you stole it from mankind. It's a wireless transmission of truth, and it's a shocking real story of a banker with you. And if the people knew you stopped me from making power free, it was cursed the Con Edison with every utility.
Between 1901 and 1917, the Tesla Tower was built on Long Island as a wireless broadcasting system for telephone and electrical signals. Interestingly, it was constructed on an aquifer with descending passageways and tunnels beneath it. At the time, few understood how it worked. Tesla's funding was ultimately dropped by J.P. Morgan because Tesla wanted the wireless electricity to be free, and therefore J.P. Morgan couldn't make a profit. So even though Tesla's genius was seen by many, he was still driven into obscurity. The energy to create free wireless energy has always existed on our planet and still exists today.
What are the biggest structures that modern man builds on the planet? The biggest, most awe-inspiring structures we create are hydroelectric dams. Why are we willing to invest such awe-inspiring amounts of labor and effort in constructing those? Because we know we're going to get a very valuable physical return in the form of electricity. And by comparison, I wonder if the ancient megalith builders weren't willing to invest such staggering amounts of resources by even smaller populations because they knew that they could get something very physical and worthwhile back from it.
Now back to the ancient Egyptians here, we still cannot replicate their temples. Using some of the most highly advanced engineering techniques and construction machinery today, we can't lift them stones, we can't cut them, and we got lasers and stuff, so it's crazy.
There is still an extraordinary amount of evidence that shows that the ancient Egyptians had knowledge that has been lost.
We don't have the technology to build the pyramids now. Not even close. We're not the most evolved we've ever been. And that is one of the blinders that has stopped us from imagining that the ancients could have been far smarter than us.
This is where it gets interesting. The word occult is often associated with devil worship, when in fact it simply means hidden from view.
The word occult does not mean evil. It simply means hidden, secret, obscured, concealed.